Hello, everyone. I'm Damien. Welcome to the Christian Humanist. The topic for today is Bad Catholic Dating Advice, Part 3. Okay, so today the topic is basically a general one. Okay, I just want to hit on a deeper topic or deeper subject matter that seems to underpin a lot of the bad dating advice that you're getting out of the Catholic world. A lot of these people who are in the space who are trying to help people, help young people, lead a better, supposedly more fulfilling life in their dating and essentially their personal life, basically. And what is that problem? Okay, what is the deeper issue here when it comes to a lot of these Catholic dating advice? Okay, the kind of the mistakes that are being made, or if I may say, not really mistakes, but really seem like there seems some kind of agenda. Okay, something that seems to be driving their efforts. Okay, in other words, it's like trying to help someone lead a good dating life, or trying to give them tips on how to improve their success with women, or okay, I got it. That phraseology probably not doesn't really apply in the Christian world, but increase the chances of making the right connection. Okay, improving the chances of meeting someone they like. They can see something substantial developing in the future. Okay, instead of doing that, there seems to be something else going on here. Okay? Some kind of an agenda, some kind of a secondary consideration or a primary consideration. Okay, that seems to be sort of worked subtly into the I'm here to help you with your dating life objective. So the issue I want to hit on today, which I think an issue which I think is pervasive to the Catholic world, to the Catholic dating world, and that is the focus on chastity. Okay, so chastity, it's almost a Christian doctrine. These I would say is a central dogma in the Christian world, and it really is about basically being faithful to one person. I think that's one definition, but technically it's really about refrain from having physical relations with anyone who's not your spouse. Okay, so essentially you're just saving yourself up for marriage. Critically, you're trying to it's a question of faithfulness. It's a question of being pure, so to speak, outside the realm of marriage. In other words, your only time you get to sort of free yourself up sexually is with your spouse. Okay, when and if that ever happens. Okay, so that's really the underlying objective of this whole concept. Okay, or doctrine. Okay, now the problem what I'm sensing here when it comes to these Catholic dating people is that they seem to be so hell bent on advancing the doctrine of chastity. Okay, everything they say when it comes to the dating advice, when it comes to life advice, is all centered on don't have sex till you get married, don't have sex outside of marriage, don't have sex till ready to settle down with your spouse and presumably impregnate her with your kids. That seems to be the only objective here, the primary and sole concern of these people who are in the Catholic dating space. It's almost like they're not even really trying to help people anymore. They're not trying to help people improve their odds at finding success in the dating world. Okay, they're not really there to help people. It's really help men, because let's face it, dating is really a male driven process. Us men who make things happen. I mean, even if it's on social media apps and so on, really it's really the guys who have to take things forward. Of course, girls make the choice, but it's up to us to make the right moves, the right calls, take things forward, especially when it comes to meetups and so on. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about here, right? The onus is really very much on men, because women technically, as I mentioned, I think I said this before, are sexually passive creatures. Okay, so they can sort of wait around and expect things to happen to them. We have to make things happen for ourselves. Okay, in terms of the kind of things we say, the way we move, the way we socialize, the way we go out, the way we interact, the kind of persona that we put forward, and so on. Okay, many things that you guys know what I'm talking about, though, if you've been in this space. But critically, though, when it comes to relationships, okay, the proactive aspect of the relational the process, okay, has to be emphasized. But it seems to me in a lot of the Catholic world, the Catholic, whatever, preaching, dating advice, business, everything is centered on chastity. Everything is centered on, ensure that people don't have sex till they get married. That has to happen, or that shouldn't happen, no matter what. Okay, if you just think about it, right? It's like they're trying to help young Catholics meet up and so on, but the central dogma, the primary consideration, the ultimate motive here is to ensure that people do not have premarital sex. And this is important, listener. I just want to put this out to you, because a lot of the people who are talking about this, a lot of the people who are in this space saying these things are married people. Okay, a lot of the people who are advising people about chastity and virginity are people who are married in the Catholic world. Okay, and I mean that seriously, but they're married in a relationship and they're giving advice to people about how to date. So it's understandable. So one is to assume that these people have had the experience before, but the deeper issue here, listener, is that it doesn't apply to them. Okay, if you're married, you can talk about chastity and virginity and so on, but you probably cannot, because it doesn't apply to you, because technically you're not a virgin. Okay, or if you're if you're married, okay, things like fornication, which is really the concern here, it does not apply to you. Okay, so when you have married people telling other people, young people, unmarried people, to be chaste, i.e., to not fornicate, what they're really saying is something that does not apply to them, okay? Because married people cannot commit fornication, they can commit adultery, okay? So it's kind of easy for them to say this. So I mean, that's just a sort of a thought I want to put out there for the listener to consider, because a lot of the people who are in the space talking about, Catholic dating, how to date, how to meet people, blah blah blah, the people themselves are married, okay? They're already in a relationship, they're already within the marital framework. So it's very easy for them to say, don't have premarital sex, because that doesn't apply to them, okay? These people are married. If they do step out, so to speak, that would be adultery, okay? So there's a degree of hypocrisy, it seems to me, at that level. Now, that is, of course, sort of a deeper point which I would want to put out there for you to consider. But critically, though, the critical consideration is that, why is this emphasis? Why is it so important that married people, or in this case unmarried people, young people, single people, not have sex before they get married? Why is that such an important consideration? Okay, someone has to answer that question. Now, again, let's be clear about this, okay? In life, okay, especially in Christian life, we have to recognize the foundational principle, okay? We're all sinners, okay? Everyone is sinful. Everyone will sin. Everyone sins in some way or the other, okay? Whether you fornicate or commit adultery, or whether you, whatever, whether you kill someone, or whether you steal, whether you're a person who's gluttonous, the 7 deadly sins. The 7 deadly sins are a good example, okay? Some people are fat, some people are, lazy, some people are, proud and vindictive and whatnot. And so there are many ways in this power of sin manifests itself, okay? Lust, or in its manifestation in premarital relations, in fornication, is not the only one, okay? But for some reason, for these people, the only problem for them to consider, only problem they have to deal with, is fornication, okay? So that is just another thought process, okay? So are they being objective, okay? When you give out good dating advice, are you really trying to help the person, okay? Or are you trying to help the person in a way to ensure that they don't have sex, which means you're not really helping them, okay? One of the things I've been encountering, by a lot of these dating advice people, one of the points that they keep making is that you should not date if you're not ready to get married, okay? Don't date if you're not ready to get married. So you gotta get into the dating scene only if you're ready to find yourself a spouse. I mean, just think about this. It seems like a genuine thing, it seems like a helpful piece of advice, but it seems more so manipulative, okay? At the end of the day, they're not really trying to help you. They're trying to sort of hoard you into some kind of a way of life, okay? Like you're sort of herd you into a certain way of life where you're just living like an automaton, okay? Because for them, having premarital sex is so anathema to their way of life, to their doctrine or dogma. Everything and anything should be done to prevent that, okay? So it's not really about helping people. So look at it this way, right? So what? Okay, so what if you have sex before you get married? So what if you meet someone and you have an intimate connection, okay? What's so wrong about that, okay? Isn't God going to love you? Isn't God going to forgive you? Isn't God going to accept you? I mean, think about it, right? The whole point of being a Christian is that we are fallen. The whole point of being a Christian is that we are sinners and God loves us anyway, okay? The idea of trying to be good, okay, in this very specific realm, okay, in the very specific case of, I'm not going to have sex till I get married. Oh boy, I'm so good. And that's really what's being said here. These people who call themselves, Christians, preachers and so on, they're basically promoting themselves as moral paragons of virtue because, they kept their legs together till they found themselves a husband, or, the men, only having to penetrate a vagina on their marriage bed. I mean, this is not very serious. I mean, frankly, first of all, we don't know what these guys are saying. They could be lying for all we know. They could be just saying these things to dissuade other people. They could be, screwing around all over the place, but they could be, trying to promulgate or sort of promote a false image of themselves. That could be a very legitimate factor. So that could also be considered. But critically, though, in this regard, we have to look at this for what it is, okay? There seems to be something manipulative going on here, okay? In life, you have to help people. You have to give them the right kind of advice, and then they have to make their own choices, especially if you're an adult. I mean, of course, we're not talking about people below the age of 18, but once you get to the age of 18, it's your life, and you have to make the right choices. And if you do have premarital sex, I mean, that's not the end of the world, okay? Even for women, of course, you have to be, take precautions. But the idea is this, listener, from a Christian perspective, even from a moral perspective, okay, life is about growth. Life is about doing things. Life is about experiencing things. If you make mistakes, that's okay. You can grow. You can learn from it. You cannot make that mistake again. In life, you will never know if you haven't done something. Again, I'm not saying that people should have premarital sex. I'm not saying that people should, fornicate, to use the word. We had to be realistic about who we are. And the whole point of the Christian experience is about growing by learning. It's about growing in the faith. It's about growing in the spirit. And critically, growing by making mistakes. Because the fact is, listener, sin is inevitable. Sin is a part of who we are. It's not something we do. It's a conditional reality, okay? The fact is, for people who are not fornicating, they could be doing other things. So they could be lazy, they could be gluttonous, they could be, arrogant, or they could be, fat. I mean, a lot of the, fat people presumably are not having much of a sex life, understandably so, because no one's going to bang them, at least not someone who's as fat as they are. But the point is, but for them, it's very easy to be not lustful. It's very easy for them to not fornicate because no one's banging them anyway. No one wants to bang them anyway. So you guys get what I'm trying to say here. So there's more to this debate, listener, but I just want to say, look, the focus on chastity and virginity seems manipulative. Okay, it doesn't seem to be put forward with the best interest of the person in mind. Okay, and critically, though, it ignores the deeper Christian principle that the person's goodness is not predicated on their moral worth. Okay, your goodness, your holiness is in relation to God. Okay, and that relationship is what matters. Okay, I mean, face it, guys. All of us are sinners. All of us are going to make mistakes. Okay, just because you have premarital sex doesn't make you a worthless person. And critically, just because someone did not have premarital sex, that's these people who promote themselves as moral paragons of virtue. Okay, holier than thou, that they're the best people in the world. It seems. Just because they held off having sex while they got married, it doesn't mean their life is going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that their husband is chaste. It doesn't mean their wife is chaste. I mean, for all we know, she could have faked her virginity. You have those sort of things happening in the developing world. I think even in Africa, I think you have these North African countries where women are quite liberal. They're kind of Western. They kind of look European as well. So they tend to go to Europe and have their lady parts, let's say the hymens, reconstructed so they can bamboozle their husbands into thinking that they're virgins. These sort of things are happening across the world. And we had to be realistic about these sort of things. And critically, though, for men, it's not realistic for us to expect a girl to be a virgin anyway, right? I mean, again, I'll probably talk about that in another video, but the chastity virginity principle in a dating context seems manipulative. It doesn't seem sincere. It doesn't seem it doesn't seem to be advanced with the well-being of the listener in mind. This idea of trying to that you should not date until they're ready to get married. It's almost like saying don't date. Okay, because how many of us are ready for marriage anyway? How many of us are thinking of getting married? Okay, if you're going to put it that way, you might as well not date. Okay, and people date for a variety of reasons. I mean, you want to find a partner, you want some companionship, you want to go out and have a good time. You'd rather spend your time with someone else rather than doing it alone. So this whole dating for marriage thing, I think, is a manipulative tool. It's trying to dissuade people from having a life. They're trying to destroy people's initiative, trying to make them just too self-centered and thinking of the moral question. The moral question itself disempowers your initiative to take action. Okay, you disempower yourself in the name of chastity and virginity. You become weaker and weaker and socially isolated. That could be a goal. I don't know. I'm speculating here at this point, but these things could work at a deeper level. So that's something for us to consider. And finally, listen, just to close this off, the whole the Christian world, I think it has regressed. I mean, the very fact that we have people talking about this sort of things, okay, dating advice, chastity, virginity, just shows that people are not connecting with the faith at a deeper level. I mean, let's face it, guys, people are leaving the church. The church is regressing, especially in the United States, especially in the developing world, and there are probably good reasons for this, and this is possibly one. Okay, this is something for us to consider. Okay, let me close with this point, guys. Okay, Christian redemption is a function of our relationship with God. Okay, man is a fallen being. Man will sin. Man is sinful. Okay, the sin manifests itself in different ways, whether it's in fornication or adultery or whatever. Okay, we cannot control it in many ways. We can try to discipline ourselves, we can try to moderate our behavior, but critically, though, it's about coming close to God and keep persisting in that relationship. Okay, just because you happen to have your hymen intact when you got married as a virgin, okay, whether that's real or not, or because you're a guy, you were chaste and you were only faith, that doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you a holy person. Okay, all of us are sinful. Okay, we sin differently. Okay, it could be that you're probably good at a certain level, but that does not guarantee holiness. It does not guarantee that you are a child of God or that you're some special person, because everyone is a child of God. Okay, that is something for us to consider. Okay, all right, folks, this is the Christian Humanist. I'm Damien. See you guys next time.